mute. I'm sure none of you could hear me because I was muted, wasn't I? Ah, discovered it this time. Hi, everybody. I see folks in chat. If you can let me know if you can hear me, and then I'll have Taramak talk and see if he's alive.
Am I alive?
I mean, you are to me, but I'm seeing a lot of promissory notes. All right. Thank you, Bill W333. Only half evil. You hear us. Yeah, you can hear both of us. Excellent. I hope people enjoy the new layout. I am oddly proud of getting that barred face right above both our video frames because it's just so bardish. Hi, Annie. All right, so I actually have an agenda, but as always, I'm going to start by saying who I am and introducing my guest, and then kind of laying out what we're going to talk about during the stream today. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Nitocris, or Julia, the community manager for Neverwinter. Um, It'll be almost 5 years for me in November. Time goes by fast. Just doing one of my streams on a Friday, nice way to end the week. Plus, we announced the name of the module earlier this week, so I'm excited. And I managed to wrangle someone to join me, a new victim, one we haven't seen in a while. I think we saw you for like the chicken, or we heard you at least, the chicken PvP.
Yeah, I
Uh,
forget whether I am.
but yeah, I don't think because I think I had folks on team and they were watching my game screen, so it's nice to see your face. So who are you?
I don't know. I've run into an identity crisis. No, uh hi, I'm Vincent Vincent Malley. You might know me as Taramak on the forums I haven't posted on in the last year and a half or so. Um so yeah, I'm a producer on the Neverwinter team.
All right. And one of the reasons why Mally hasn't posted is because I am one of the people who keeps him very busy by giving him stuff to do. But he always lurks, and he's actually the person who leads the Monday meetings that I've spoken about in the past, where I give my report, um, which is actually a great segue into the next topic. We're going to start out with some community updates, and then we're going to dive deeper into M21, or Jewel of the North. Um, so community updates, quick ones. For those of you who tuned in a couple weeks ago for my first community and coffee, I meant to do one last week, but it's been, yeah, I had my daughter with me last week and there was just no good time. So I'm hoping to do one on Monday. One of the ideas I really enjoyed was the idea of me taking an hour of going through my Monday reports, going through the forums, and kind of showing how I like read feedback or bugs and how I write it down to report it. So it usually takes me several hours to do that, but I'll take 1 hour and I'll kind of walk people who are interested in seeing how we escalate issues and provide feedback to the team. So hopefully I can do that on Monday morning while I drink my coffee. Uh, And yes, I'm already starting to see questions about things I will be discussing. Um, so other community updates. What do we have? Let's see. Yes, we have a new community giveaway item. It's taken a while, but we finally got our Rainbow Starry Panther Vanity Pet. It is a variant of the mount that we've given out that was community exclusive, and got the Vanity Pet because rainbows are awesome. I was hoping to get it in last month, but it's still cool. And, any time of the year is great to represent pride and rainbows. So, really happy about having that. And I wanted to give out a special shout out to Silvery, to Rachel, one of our content creators, for helping me kind of reveal. She has been a big advocate of vanity pets and rainbow stuff, so I felt that was a good opportunity. So thank you, Silver. She was able to give out some to her community, and then I will be distributing more codes for the Rainbow Starry Panther Vanity Pet to other content creators, so they can give some away, and then I will be giving away some as well today. And we'll still be giving away the mount, so don't worry about that one. But this will be a community exclusive. I am not going to let anybody get their hands on these items unless it's community. um, Let's see. I don't have chat up anymore. Let me bring it up again, unless it's community. Oh, let's see. Hold on a second. I'm hearing myself in the background, unless it's community. Did I
Oh,
unmute?
yes, I did.
Let's see. Mute. There we go. That was very confusing. The delay was talking back to me.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I was like,
Twitch feedback is
why am I talking?
disorienting.
Yes, yes, it is. All right. Um, let's see what else I had. All right. So it looks like we can start jumping into Jewel of the North. Today's stream is going to be to talk about a little bit about that name we announced. And then a couple concerns that I know, or some questions that I'm seeing that I know have been lingering. And then we're going to move on to let Taramak basically go over the more technical aspects of getting a launch out. Because we've talked about the game content, we talk about the art, and we'll give updates on how it's doing on preview. But I don't think we ever really walked people through the whole process of like, what is a build and how do we get it out there? How do we get a release candidate? Um, there's just a lot of technical questions that I know some people have expressed interest in, and I wanted to share that insight with folks. So thank you again, Terramak, for joining us for that. But let's talk about Jewel of the North. Jewel of the North is the name of the module. We didn't announce the name until this past week, just because for publishing timing reasons, even though we announced the release date July 27th at the end of June. So people were a bit confused as to why there was that staggering. And to give a bit of background, when they were consulting me about when a good time would be to announce the release date, I said, I think 4 weeks minimum is what we want to give people to prepare time to prepare for any module changes. So 4 weeks is enough time to kind of wrap up anything you're doing now to prepare for the next module. I didn't want to make it any shorter than that. So that was a compromise. We announced the July 27th update on June 29th, and earlier this week we announced Jewel of the North. Now, one of the questions I'm seeing a lot is Jewel of the North, that is one of the nicknames for Neverwinter. But why? I've seen some great theories, and one of them is this module is, I don't want to call it a full reset because there's a lot of content, but we created a lot of quality of life improvements. We have, revamped a lot of tutorial, just how we share information, how we train people, and we also are allowing people to get to end game sooner, and providing them a better path for leveling that makes more sense. So our focus was on the Jewel of the North. Our focus was on Neverwinter itself. We do have a new class, and we're really excited about that. I mean, Bard is amazing. I can't wait to get some Battle of the Bands. But Neverwinter itself is the star of this module, which sounds kind of weird to say. So second logical question I'm seeing is, what about for us veteran players who've already, max level? Yeah, I mean, we'll level a Bard, but what then? Where's, new adventure zones, new content to do? We have not forgotten about you. We can't confirm or deny anything that you might have seen somewhere else. But we are working on content that isn't, we're working on M22, but we're also working on content that will be between M21 and M22 that will provide more content for you to engage in and play. We haven't forgotten about you. The way we're just releasing content is just a bit different. So thank you for the patience and bearing with us. And we understand there's eagerness for more information, and we will try to provide it as soon as we can, as soon as we have something concrete and firm that we can share, because we don't want to give you information that is going to be incorrect or changed later on. So Game Killer Spaz says roadmap. Yes, that is something I have been working on. I've been talking to the people who kind of make those decisions and showing them player sentiment towards roadmap and how important they are. So definitely something that I'm pushing for, but ultimately it's not my decision. But I'll keep pushing and advocating for it. Let's see. Do we have any more? All right. A lot of systems questions, and I'm not going to be answering them right now. Not during today's stream. But I do want to use this time to also say that this past week I had an opportunity to be a part of, or not me personally, but bring in 3 content creators to be a part of an event where they got to spend some time talking one-on-one, having an interview with designers. I'm not gonna, steal their thunder or spoil it. I will let them discuss it when they're ready. Some of them are under embargo for some information, but we really brought in community asking a lot of those questions, and I'm hoping that the answers they provide when they share their experience will address a lot of the issues coming up. Okay, that was a lot of me talking straight, like monologuing, without letting Taramak say anything. So I'm going to start out, with the pleasantries because they haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing, Taramak? How are you doing, Malley?
Doing okay, getting less sleep than I should, but it's no different from previous years. Uh yeah, otherwise doing just fine. Little little high adrenaline due to the impending launch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think we all lose kind of sight as to the ownership of that build stuff because that's important. Without a build, we can't really release anything. Uh, all right, I'm trying to keep an eye on chat while this is happening. Uh, so Dr. Dak had asked about adding new content to the game or was just on the server test. I don't know if you missed my previous answer, but I was talking about how we will be adding more content. It's not just what you see in the preview server. We have content to bridge between M21 and M22. All right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what do we need to release a new module or any kind of content. So on July 27th, we push something out. But what is happening that day or the day before or like walk us through that.
Okay, I'm trying to think of exactly how much detail I want to get into. I will admit I did not fully prepare my answer to this question. So there's a lot that goes into a release. There's like, okay, people have been making changes since the last release, and we've got to decide what gets into the current live game and what goes into the new release. I'm not going to go into branching or our version control system because that's probably a little. I haven't checked if I have approval to talk about that level of tech, um, but like the short version is okay. Talk to your developers. Where do they want to put their changes? Uh, and which of those changes do I want to integrate into the live build? Uh, and that will inform the former question. Uh, okay, is it low risk? Will it fix some things that players really care about in the short term? Then let's get into the live game. Uh, so that decision happens uh, basically dozens, hundreds, actually thousands of times between new modules,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's this like sort of uh gathering wall of fixes and changes and stuff like that that will eventually cascade into the new module. So there's a lot of testing that goes on into the new branch, or the yeah. I'll just say branch, yeah, because we do branch the game somehow, and some people know what that means, some people don't, and I'm not coffeed up enough to properly explain that.
Yeah, it's I mean it's one of those things that even I've been in the industry for a while, and sometimes this more technical aspect, my eyes might glaze over a little bit. I admit. Having the kind of knowledge that Taramak has is incredible, and not many have it, because you do need to be able to keep in mind like where changes were done, here, what changes were done here. It all kind of has to come together. Um, but I do know that, I mean, we do update preview while the new content is on preview. We've done everything from update once a week to update every few weeks. Now, one of the things I heard about from this module is that it was actually going pretty smoothly, which of course means I've done now just jinx us for the launch. But we were addressing like bugs that people were bringing up during preview at a pretty good pace, And I know that the update we did this Tuesday addressed a number of things. And do you now feel like how many changes or how do you feel like there's going to be any new build updates from today until launch?
So I've got another build that I handed off to QA this morning for hopefully getting onto preview before the weekend. So that's one. And then I plan to make one more build with the last of the fixes, probably Tuesday afternoon, or actually Tuesday evening, for testing Wednesday through launch.
Yep.
Hopefully, I don't need to make another build after that. But the reason there's an entire week there is just in case we need to fix some last minute stuff. Um, to put some perspective on it, the the sort of cutoff for any changes was or any significant changes was last weekend. So I got a snapshot of the game as it was this weekend. That's what we're testing. That's what we put on preview. That's actually part of the version number that you see. The 0712 is I created that build on July 12th. Um, and then uh, yeah, final. I include the final changes and just roll those in individually.
Cool. Is that what I've heard you talk about? Send me incrementals. Is that what that is when like they come in after the cutoff date?
Yeah, exactly.
Great. And just to kind of give, one of the things that players will sometimes ask us is, hey, we 2 days before the launch was meant to go live, we found this bug. How did it still go live? Especially if, there is a chance to set incrementals. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming it's because incrementals you can't just take them all. You have to use your judgment on okay, what is actually critical that we add to this build.
Yeah.
Is
Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, is that kind of why sometimes bugs that we are aware of make it live?
Yes, that's one of many calculations. There's certainly risk factor. Okay. Uh, okay, this could fix the issue, but are we sure it's going to risk, or are we sure it's going to fix the issue? What else could it break? And how long does the QA team have to verify it? And then the other parts of it are like, okay, any game has or any software has dependencies. So if I change this file, does it depend on this other change in this file? Did they include that in their I think check-in is uh, a pretty standard term,
Mm-hmm.
but check-in or commit or something like that. Okay, did they include all of those files in that commit? Were there other changes in this file uh, in a previous commit that I need to be aware of? Because if I take this version of the file, I also get the change that was in this previous version. Okay, what other cascading effects does that have? Um, so there's a lot of risk management that sort of depends on knowledge of the game overall and knowledge of how the files work. Basically, it's really easy to break stuff.
Is this when link breaks occur, or is that more of a changing from one branch to another?
That's changing from one branch to another. People in chat were mentioning like, "Hey, you fixed this," or "Hey, I remember when you fixed this bug, and then uh, at the next module release, it broke again." That's a yeah, that's what you call a link break, and that's something I'm not going to get into
Yeah.
because I think that delves into the workings of our version
Mm-hmm.
control system.
Nope, that's perfectly fine. And I am seeing, let's see, Frankie Boss just say we're not talking about the mod here, just justifying why there's bugs. I don't know if you just tuned in right now, but one of the things about talking about a module release is the acknowledgement that we've released content with bugs. All games have bugs, and it's one of the sources of frustration to players. And I strive to be transparent and bring up the topics that might not be the most comfortable for us to talk about. We don't like admitting there's bugs, but we do want to acknowledge them and provide some kind of background as to why they happen. Now we've definitely taken steps to mitigate that, but that's it's one of the realities, and it's not really, not ignoring it isn't going to make it better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to be clear, this ain't justification. This is explanation, but yeah, even though bugs happen, we want to do better. We want our game not to be buggy, and this doesn't excuse some of the worst bugs that have gone live.
Mhm. So I am seeing questions about professions, especially like masterwork, and I'm assuming that a number of people saw the developer blog that went out this morning on professions. Thank you, Miku, for putting that together, because yes, professions have seen a change, and one of the questions was, is it going to be the same time on console and PC? Um, I believe not, just because it is part of the M21 release. But am I wrong in that, Mally, or like? The changes to
Uh,
professions won't be going to console until console gets M21, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Um, there are some things that are almost like kind of have to think of some of the releases as a bundle, and some items are part of that bundle and some aren't, which is why sometimes we can have things go out simultaneously. Uh, like a lot of the holiday events go out at the same time on console and PC, but other things are part of a release bundle that only one platform gets it. We have not announced a console release date yet. I know some people are eager about that. The moment I get the final decision, the final okay to release it, I will share that. Thanks for your patience on that one. Uh, but yes, the profession changes will not be live on console until Jewel of the North is live on console. Let's see. Other questions. Um, Let's see. I am not going to be discussing like questions regarding like the company as a whole, just out of courtesy. So I know there's a lot of curiosity over that, but the only thing I can just let people know, reassure players that we are continuing to work on Neverwinter. We've got some great people working on it and some great ideas for content, and development of Neverwinter continues. That's all I can really say on that one. Let's see. Um, so actually, we were talking about the differences between platforms. So with Jewel of the North releasing on July 27th, one of the things we're also introducing or bringing back is the Never Embers recruitment event, which was kind of an alt, encouragement event where would get rewards while when leveling new alts. Um, how do you turn that on PC without it also activating on console? Like, is it just kind of go over that, how you turn some things on here but not there?
Okay, I think I can talk in enough detail about this. So we have this backend system called events. There is uh, the concept of an event name, which controls how it's or controls what things can look for. So like the Never Ember recruitment event. Not sure I should say the logical name out loud,
Yeah,
but
probably
it
not.
has what we call a logical name, which is what different things look for. And then there are other things in the game that are like, okay, is this event on or off? Okay, I will act in this way. Um, Events can be uh, pre-scheduled, so I know that this event will run July 27th to I'm not doing the right math here. I think it's
It's about 28 to
August
30 days,
26th.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I schedule it. I go into a data file. I say, okay, valid shard region. Uh,
Whoa, I just lost sound on Mally. Did anybody else lose sound on him?
that was me probably flubbing my push to talk.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no, what did I do? All right, sorry, continue.
So yeah, uh, I go in. I go into a data file. I say, okay, for the dragon shard, I schedule it to run July 27th at 7:30 a.m. Pacific to August 26th ish at 7:30 a.m. Pacific. Um, but there's a string in there that says, okay, this flag only applies to the dragon shard. So I can do that for all the other shards. Drider, our Russian PC shard, and then Lich and Baylor, our back-end names for the uh, uh, the Xbox and PS4 shards. Um, so as long as all of the data exists in the live build, I can just pre-schedule that and have them run at whatever time I want. And thankfully, events are one of the things that we have the capability of overriding, whether it's on the server itself where we just say flip it on and completely ignore the timings, or okay, let's override it with these times instead. That'll change behavior. So if you ever see an event without an end time shown, that's probably because it's either flipped on or set to run permanently for some reason.
I was a big fan of what was it, the Redeemed Citadel that went out and it was going to last years. Like
Yeah,
that one was pretty fantastic.
that's
Like
the one that prompted the UI fix to say, okay, if it's gonna last till like 2056 or whatever, just don't show that.
um all right. So people still asking about things I mentioned earlier that I cannot confirm or deny, other than say that we are working on content for in between modules. So I know it's vague, but until I get the okay to actually confirm or deny things, I can't share that. And as someone I think pointed out in chat, yes, we do like our jobs and we don't want to get fired. So we do know we do have to adhere to certain kind of rules about what we can talk about or what we can't. All right. It looks like I think it's time for a giveaway. Let's do a quick giveaway, and then I'm going to ask you about Frankenbuilds as much as you can
Oh,
talk about them.
fun.
Yeah, just because I love the name Frankenbuild.
That's fair. I get to pretend I'm David Anderson.
One of my regrets is I think I had him on stream once for a short period of time, but I never got him in for longer. And I would have loved to just have him there and try to explain things to people.
He's good at it.
He's
I
good.
miss him.
Me too. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, David Anderson was a programmer, and he moved on to other opportunities outside of Cryptic a few years ago. But he was the one who, on Christmas Day a few years ago, spent Christmas Day manually fixing Starlight parcel issues. So, big damn hero. All right, so we're going to give away the. Oh, did they change the? Looks like they did. All right. Sorry, MooBot changed the interface. So we're going to give away 3 Rainbow Starry Panther vanity pets. We're going to start with that. At the end of the stream, we'll give out mounts and pets as well. So if you want a chance to win a Rainbow Starry Panther vanity pet, I have them all for all platforms. So PC, Xbox, or PS. Go ahead and type in the word vanity, Vanity. In the meantime, while people are entering their information, I'm seeing a lot of questions. Big Puppy Stewart asks, why was content that created the foundational narrative for the game was removed? Is there going to be a new foundational narrative? So for the first part, there are a number of reasons that certain content was removed. Some of it was because it didn't hold up to the standards of the rest of the game, whether the way it flowed or the way it was set up, or it was more confusing to new players who suddenly felt like, hey, every time I reach a new level and I have like 5 different options to go to, and I can't. Decision making becomes overwhelming. So we wanted to streamline that. That isn't to say that we might not, later reuse certain contents for like limited time events or other things. But right now, I don't know the firm plans on content that we're vaulting, what the future holds. But one thing that I did want to mention is that we're not going to do the whole like vault a content and then, M23 be like, have this content back, because that wouldn't make sense. That we took it away when it wasn't functioning properly. So going to the second part, which is there going to be a new foundational narrative? The great part about MMOs is that there can always be new narratives. Characters have a way of coming back. No one ever really dies. It's kind of like a soap opera. They were just in a medically induced coma. Uh, and we can change the narrative. I know a lot of people want to know more about, what's Neverember doing? Why is he still leading Neverwinter? Why does he have that power? Or Makos, what has happened to Makos? I mean, that he's gone through a lot, that tiefling. Um, and there's just some other great stories we can always, like I love the story of Linkletter. I know other people do. We do more about that. There's great opportunities for narrative, and nothing is off the table when it comes to that. Those are actually some of the best meetings because people get to just be completely wild about their ideas of how they would love to see the narrative. But I don't have any firm direction that we're going to go in next. So just, I guess, stay tuned next week, next episode. All right, let's draw a winner. Three of them, actually. So I'm going to draw three winners first, and then I will read all the names. All right, we have Zafriziel. Kinder Chocolade X. Oh, I want a Kinder Egg so badly now. A Kinder Chocolate Egg. Not the Kinder Joy, but the original Kinder Egg that's not allowed in the United States. Uh, and Warfarer. So congrats, Zafriziel, Kinder Chocolate X, and Warfarer. You have won a Rainbow Starry Panther Vanity Pet. Please email community@crypticstudios.com to tell me your platform, and I will give you the codes. All right. Let's go back to the chat before we move on to Frankenbuilds.
Thanks for the explanation, Fair Puppy.
Oh, thank you for taking that one. I was going to bring it up later on. Let's see. So questions about the rings. Yes, the rings of air and darkness. There were some issues that went out yesterday with them, and I believe we've already found them and made the changes. And maybe they'll be going out live next week. Do you know, Malley? Or
As far as I'm aware, the fixes to the rings aren't going live until Module 21 release.
okay.
If it's messing with the live game too much, I might get another console build out. But right now, I don't have that fix in the build that's going to cert for the summer festival.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. All right. So let's move on to Frankenbuilds. I know that the community has heard me say that, that term a few times. But how would you best explain what a Frankenbuild is?
So it's when you no, I was gonna make a joke about like stitching builds together and then putting them under a lightning storm. No, what it is, it's uh, so okay, again, what can I talk about here? Uh, there are things that run on the server and things that run on the client. Uh, the client is the part of the game that you run on your computer as the player, whereas the server side is the stuff that we run on our computers and your client connects to. Um, there is there are some files that exist on both the client and the server. Some files that exist only on the client, and some files that exist only on the server. Um, so, for example, when you talk about like uh, the the visual appearance of a fashion item, that is what we call costume data, and that exists on the client. That is for your computer to interpret and render as desired. Um, on the server, I think I can say like uh, item drop chances or uh, the way it interprets critters spawning and stuff like that. That stuff exists on the server. Um, and what a Frankenbuild is we do something to update something on the server only. Um, there are two ways to update something on the server only. Sometimes we can just create a whole new patch for the server without updating the client. That one has specific requirements that I'm not getting into. But a Frankenbuild is okay, I'm changing this specific server file in this specific way. Um, uh, Whether it's like, okay, the code will hijack this this reward and give this value instead for something like, oh, this thing is literally just not dropping what we said it would drop, and it is very, very high priority, and players need it right now. Um, in most cases, I it is safer and I guess less risky to just go with a regular build and then patch it next week. Um, but sometimes you need that change the day of or the day after.
Mhm.
So you burn a few QA hours, you burn a few programmer hours, and you get that server executable together, and then patch it to the servers. And then sometimes you have to uh, restart a map and boot people out of that map.
Mhm.
Um,
And that's when the community gets the messages of like, you're gonna kick everybody out. So if you start, running a new map, like a dungeon map, and we kick everybody, it's gonna kick you out and reset. So, we warn people ahead of time so they don't start content that they can't finish before the reboot.
yeah, and yeah. Sorry again if I get a little wandery in my explanations here. Hopefully,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know how.
it's useful to me, and I know that it is. This is some players might be like, why is this of interest to me? While other players are like, it's great to know how things work behind the scenes. And it's. I think that perspective is valuable, just because a game takes a lot of work to put out, and there's a lot of moving pieces. And with each moving piece, there is chance for human error, and there's also risks every time. Um, so just try to be as transparent as possible with folks. All right, so let's see.
I will say
Oh,
one more
oh,
thing.
sure, go ahead.
The thing that I sort of implied but didn't say outright. Uh, we just can't hotfix the client. We have to create a new build every time we want to update the thing on your machine with
Uh,
our current tech.
let's see. Dara Moonshadow. I have to call this one out because it cracks me up every time. Dara Moonshadow, please remove the. I think she means abyssal chick vanity pet. But it's posted abysmal, or it could be intentional because abysmal sounds great for the overwhelming amount of abyssal chicken vanity pets that people have gotten. We are aware. It's something we've brought up many times, the drop rate or being able to maybe swap it out. We just haven't made a decision yet how we want to deal with that one. But I do like your abysmal chick vanity pet. I'm going to stick with that one. um, all right. So one of the questions is, how long does it actually take to make a build or let a build cook?
So that's a good question. Are you talking about like I already know the changes that I want in the build, so starting from there and ending with it's in QA's hands, or are you talking about like we identify that we need a fix and we want to get that fix live? So ending when it goes live.
I'm not sure which one I mean,
All right,
honestly.
I'll use the longer one at risk of a wander or more uh, circuitous explanation. So okay, let's say there's this fix, there's this bug that's live, and we want it to go live.
Hmm.
Step one, identify the bug, write up the Jira. Uh, I just confirmed that we're using Jira internally as a issue
I've
tracker.
mentioned it
Okay,
before, so.
cool. So write that up, confirm it, thank you QA, pass it to the developer. Developer makes a fix, they commit that fix. They hopefully inform me, and now I know that there's this fix that I need to get into the build. Okay, so I do what Julie mentioned, and incremental, which is the just an internal name for the process that we use to incorporate a change into the build. At that point, depending on the number of changes I need to also get into that build, that can take from like 5 minutes to an hour. Um, Especially if I longer if there are more changes and more landmines to avoid, and more potential dependencies. Anyway, I get that list of changes that I want in the build. I have that, and then I input that into our builder interface. Um, our builder, depending on the number of changes, depending on like whether it needs to reprocess maps or something like that, um, or reprocess a bunch of other files. Uh, and depending on whether it's on newer or older hardware, can take anywhere between like 45 minutes if it's a super small, super fast build,
Mm-hmm.
to like 2 hours or something like that. So once that's done, we have a new build that I hand off to QA. QA verifies all of the changes that I incremented, I incorporated into the build. They send me back a report saying, okay, this they said this was fixed, but it actually wasn't. This I couldn't test with the information I had, uh, and like the developer was out. Uh, I need more information on this, this, and this. Uh, hopefully, uh, hopefully it all comes back clean, and I can just create a new, or I can just say, okay, this build goes on to preview or owlbear, depending on what portion of the uh, pre-module release process goes to. We get that to public test, and we get that live that following Thursday on PC. Um, with console, there's also the certification process, which is relatively fast from a time perspective
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, but still very work intensive.
Mm-hmm.
So we just generally it's better to do fewer better console builds.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll often try to get PC and console matched up when we can.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Aside from, of course, module releases,
Mm-hmm.
which are delayed for various technical reasons.
So thank you for actually bringing up console because it was one of the questions that was brought up in chat about the time in between PC and console, and it's been about 4 weeks for the last several modules, and it's interesting how players who've been around longer have a different perspective, where 4 weeks seems so fast compared to even when I first started, like there would be 2 to 3 months sometimes in between module, between like, the PC and console. So we have been trying to shorten that time as much as possible. Um, it, like there are a lot of things that we try to do at the same time. But as Vincent said, there are a number of important reasons why there is a delay. That does not mean that we can't continue to try to work on making even shorter. Um, but there's extra steps that go into console. So I know it is frustrating for console players to have to wait a little bit longer. But I mean, kind of to give an example of for just Bard. Bard's going to have a different mechanic. Not mechanic. Sorry, that was the wrong word. Don't panic. A different way of playing because it's a controller versus a mouse, and a Bard requires the uh, pretty dexterous use of keys, just because of the inputting the different musical keys and notes and stuff like that. So having that extra time, I think, especially getting the feedback on preview on PC for any like base bugs that people find before we release the different way of playing the Bard on the console. I think that's useful as well. So it is, in a way, for console players, the trade-off for having to wait is that you might get things a little bit more refined. Now, PC, I know that PC players, I know that kind of hurts to feel like you're being testers, and that is not our main intention. Just trying to point out the usefulness of the delay. Um, let's see. A lot of so a lot of questions, and interesting enough, today's stream has questions that it would take me about at least 4 different developers to address all the different questions that are coming up, because there's a mixture of systems, a mixture of content, future or current, and then some visual, some engineering. So it would take me a lot of different people. So I can't, I wouldn't be able to answer all of them. But let me check. Yes. Thank you, Willow, for your commentary. Actually, when I was putting together the idea for the stream, you were one of the people I had in mind. You and several others who actually approached me in the past asking about wanting to know more the technical aspect. Again, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's still valuable and important. Let's see. Um, can we get a preview shard on console? Actually, yeah, that's a good question. For for the Broyale, um, asks, can we get a preview shard on console, please? So Terramak, why don't we have a preview shard on console?
So we've actually like explored that before. It's mainly the amount of work involved for the value that we'd get from it and the value that you, the player, would get from it. Um, so it's more than just spinning up a shard and saying, okay, you can connect to that one now. There has to be some sort of interface or something by which you can connect to that new shard. I honestly don't know the ins and outs of of public testing on consoles, so I don't know whether, for example, we need to give you a new beta version executable that I have to get through a different cert process, et cetera, et cetera. Um, uh, so do you have to have two versions of Neverwinter on your machine? Okay, what's the player experience like for that? Can you accidentally connect to the public test shard and find out that your character's been wiped or rolled back or or whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
you thought you were playing on the live shard? So there are a lot of sort of unresolved questions. I think it's technically possible for us to create a public testing shard uh, on consoles. I'm I'm saying this out of I think it's possible, but I don't know for sure. So please do not take my word as gospel here. Um, but so far in our exploration, we haven't found uh, a sort of uh, an airtight case of this would benefit players and development enough to be worth the amount of time we sink into it.
Okay. And so Fadingma asks, how about copying console tunes to PC preview?
Uh, that's an interesting thought. I think they might be on different hardware. Like I could ask if it's technically possible. Like I no, I can
From a not technically like as in like figuratively versus technically, but more on a from a technological standpoint, if it's possible.
yeah. Yeah, because I have there are ways through which I can get a or copy a console character to my machine. And there are ways I can ask people to also import those characters onto the public test shard. So hypothetically, there's like this pipeline that could maybe exist, but I don't know all of the I don't know whether this hardware connects to that hardware, connects to that hardware. I don't know whether like there are firewalls preventing communication between these machines. I don't know that level of stuff. So
But I mean,
hypothetically, maybe.
it's still an interesting question, and I can definitely try to chase that down. So maybe next stream I can bring up an answer, like if we got more info. But it is a good question, and that's thank you for bringing it up. I
I
did. Oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
one more. I will say when we copy console characters to a PC shard, there are some weird freaking UI things that happen because there are some things saved on the character that copy over, and then you end up with a chat the size of your entire screen.
Yeah, some of the interface stuff is pretty amusing. So I did see a question from Nova. I can't find it now, but if I recall correctly, it was about whether M21 will follow like the episodic content that Sharandar had. And as far as I'm aware, we're not breaking it up into episodes. Just, I mean, mainly just because it's a very different module. It's not a new story, new adventure zone. So breaking it up doesn't make as much sense. Now that isn't to say we might not do episodes in the future for other releases, but it just didn't fit the format of this module. And instead of having like a blanket approach to all modules, um, being able to like identify the module and say, okay, how is this module best, sent out into the wild? And I think for Jewel of the North, having it all focused on the new experience, the new tutorials, or the updated areas, and the Bard is a great start. And then before M22, we'll have other content come in. Um, so just kind of stay tuned for that one. I really can't wait to share more information. Seriously, it's killing me not to be able to share it with you guys. um, so a lot of Stronghold questions, which I'm going to address really quickly in that I am trying to put together either a stream or an AMA. I think an AMA might be a better format for this on just Strongholds because I did not realize until yesterday just how much work is. I mean, I knew it was a lot of it, but how much work is involved in updating the Stronghold system or making any updates to Strongholds. It even boggled my mind, so I don't know if we ever really talked about how they work. So I think an AMA would be great, just focus on Strongholds, because it's a topic that keeps coming up. Let's see. There's a lot of questions about crossplay, merging different console platforms together. For that, I think the only thing I can say is, start Googling stories about attempts at, getting the platforms to play nice with each other. There is information out there. Let's see.
I
More
I
questions. Oh,
keep seeing a question from one individual about master expeditions in Undermountain, and I'm wondering what is prompting that question. Are you seeing the master expeditions unavailable on the preview shard? I
yeah,
know
no,
this is delayed, so
no. I mean, no. It's asking for more information is great. In the meantime, I will viral. Neverwinter says, so Bard is coming out. Should we expect yearly, every other year classes coming out, or would it be closer to another 5 years going forward? Uh, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't expect one every year, just because, if I recall correctly, development of Bard was a few years, like a couple years, through 2, 3 years. It takes a lot to make a class put out there, and Bard, especially is a pretty meaty class, very different. So I don't want to commit to any kind of time frame other than I don't think it would be feasible to get a new class every year. That I just can't imagine the development ever being that fast for something as large as the class.
yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, that would also be
Hmm.
really difficult to do.
Okay.
And I see the answer is the changes to campaigns. So if it's if Master Expeditions are on preview, they'll be they'll be there at M21 launch.
Cool. All right. So we're going to do a few more giveaways and then wrap up. And then the questions for today were actually really useful because I can now try to figure out the next few streams leading into M21, kind of what we should focus on or other community engagement, communication events. So thank you for all the questions. I know that it's frustrating when I don't call them out or answer them right away, but they are really useful for us to know. Uh, Actually, oh, Nova slipped one in right now. It says, can you confirm or deny since M21 will not have episodic content? Does that mean M21 will have a trial or dungeon? I don't believe M21 has a trial or dungeon like that's attached to M21, if I recall correctly. All right. Okay. So there's your answer. Hopefully, Nova. All right. Let's see. Let's do another giveaway. Taramak, if you see questions you want to answer while I'm putting this together, please go ahead.
Yeah, the one that keeps being asked about uh, capping enchantment ranks or qualities or something like that. I wouldn't. Uh, Basically, I'm not going to promise anything continuing or stopping on that regard. It's we evaluate things like that on an individual feature level, not like a oh hey we capped our levels now enchantments can't go up.
Mhm.
They're completely unlinked from a systematic perspective, from what I understand.
Yep. Cool. All right. So if you want a chance to win a Rainbow Starry Panther mount or vanity pet, I'm going to let you pick when you send me the email telling me your platform. Type in the word community. COMMUNITY. Um, so other stuff I was actually going to discuss today, was going to be some M21 name trivia because I was reading up about, Neverwinter. Um, some great background and stories to how Neverwinter got its the city-state of Neverwinter got its name. And also, I was going to do some playthrough, but I really appreciate the time you took to answer these questions, Malley. I mean, I know that it's sometimes a little bit harder to talk about these tech aspects, knowing that there's some things you can't bring up because it's proprietary versus, what's okay to discuss public facing. So thank you for playing that, balance game with me.
Yeah, hopefully I got that right. And yeah.
But I'm especially interested in the feedback from players who are more interested in this technical stuff. If if they found it insightful, interesting, or if they would like more of this. So definitely, I want to be able to reach out to the variety of players and their interest of how a game is put together. Let's see. All right, I'm going to draw the winner now. All right. Uh, I'm sorry, Andy, you were the first winner, but you don't technically qualify since you're going to get codes to give out. But I can talk to you about this later. So let's see. For the three winners, I have is Skarl one. It's SKRALG1. Congratulations. The next one is Late himself, and the third winner is Fort Hub Royale. I now know how to pronounce your name, Fort Hub Royale. Congratulations, Fort Hub Royale, Late himself, and SKRALG1. I'm sorry, I don't. If you could let me know how to pronounce that, that'd be awesome. Congratulations. Email community@crypticstudios.com to let me know what platform you are on, and if you would like the Rainbow Starry Panther mount or the Vanity Pet. So I think that is where we're going to leave it at for the giveaways. And let me bring this up. Any more last minute questions that we can address real quick before we have to let Malley go eat lunch? Let's see. Oh, so Radu19, now the Bard's coming out, are you going to polish all your characters since there are some powers that we just don't use in any situation? That is definitely a question I've seen before, and that we've discussed, especially with the system leads and how they are looking at the other classes. That is not a job that ever ends. So definitely I know that there's been discussions on what updates or fixes or just changes need to be done for classes. So we're not done. We'll hopefully be sharing those publicly in the future, but not like a huge class over like revamp. Don't be scared about that. We're not doing that. Okay. All right. Any last thing you want to add, Taramak?
No, I don't think I have anything specific.
All right.
Thank
The hour just kind of flew by. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you for all the information you provided. And thank you to the community for being here on a Friday. Stay tuned for more streams. Hopefully on Monday I can do community and coffee. And we'll do more until we release M21, Jewel of the North, on July 27th on PC. So, Teams notification. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me, and take care, everybody.